Hey, Will, we're going to go and break down your backside 540s to go and see how you can start landing them. The first thing I want to note is there's a lot to like about your back five right now. Good tall for takeoff, nice and patient, but you're not landing them. You submitted a better one as well, but we're going to use this one as the main coaching one because we can see the takeoff better. The first thing I want to note is what I really like here. I like how you're staying so tall and keeping your eyes at the end of the takeoff so long, shifting your body as you rotate past it. That's a really great takeoff, really powerful. Uh, Honestly, with a back five though, this might be one of those weird situations where this good of a takeoff isn't really working with a trick. Back fives are a little bit of a weird trick, so that's what we're going to break down. First, just a little tip on what will make backside spins easier, and that's your edge transfer. See how you're going and getting onto your toe edge all the way over here? You really want to be getting onto your toes more around here because right now you're fully in your wound up position before even going up the jump. And this is making it so you have to snap very slow. And the slower you snap, the less power you're going to be generating. What's generally okay for a 540, and that's why I'm not going to stress about it. Oh, hello. That's why we're not going to stress about it too much here because you do a really good job holding it. But as you get to bigger jumps, this will be harder and harder to hold. So just by delaying your setup carve to getting onto your toe edge for the first time around here, so like flat face here, toe edge here, then wound up, will give you a more powerful range of motion to play with. Now, in order to figure out what's going on here, we're going to need to go and take a look at one of my fives because I'll be honest, I don't do back fives very proper, but how I do back fives works. So first, let's look at the difference. See how I'm transferring my edge. I'm getting onto my toe edge here. I honestly, this is too early. I'm going to work on keep on delaying that even longer. And then as I snap the spin, the main difference we're making is I'm actually looking away from the end of the takeoff a little bit sooner. So you can see I'm pre-spinning a little bit, leading my shoulder off the end of a takeoff. The pre-spin's not necessary, but I do think right now you're going and holding your eyes, spotting too much at the takeoff, and it's going and halting your rotation. How back fives work is because you're going and rotating uh, basically 180. You're taking off with your board on this angle, landing with your board shoop on this angle. I'll use a spoon for this. So as you take off like this, as you go and rotate a 540, doo 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 doop, you'll end up in this position downhill. So if you go and try to flatten yourself out and rotate flat, you're not going to be able to come into that landing and sink up. So this is why we sort of want to match our body angle and our throw angle to the angle of the takeoff. By throwing on the same angle that the takeoff is pointed, it's going to go and put us on the natural rotational axis that will set us on our feet as we go and get through. So you can see that here I'm off kilter, and as I rotate 360, my board's really angled up, not just because of a nose grab, but this makes it so I'm perfectly sunk up for the landing of the jump. And this is what you're missing is this axis rotation that lets you go and pull your head through, spot, lock your eyes on it, and then continue rotating with your eyes locked on the same place. So let's now go dive into it and see why that's happening. Because, like I said, I honestly think your back five takeoff is more fundamentally sound than mine here. Like this is I'm working on being this patient on snapping the takeoff. But what we can see here is first your chin is tucking into your right arm. So you want your head to be leading the rotation. Well, yes, you want to go and spot the end of a takeoff as long as you can. You don't want to tilt your neck into that shoulder because that's going to make it so your weight is set over your front foot and you're throwing your rotation over your front foot. Where this is a you want to be rotating over your back foot. So just by changing your head position from tucking to your shoulder to a little more neutral should really help with your axis of rotation. And then besides that, hmm, sorry, this one's a little confusing. I'm not going to lie, dude. Uh, I really think delaying the setup carve is going to really help you because you're holding this fully open motion a really long time. Let's look at the other one. Sorry, dude. I just don't want to give you any bad advice here, so gonna make sure I fully understand it before we continue. So here you're rotating. Mm. Yeah, see, your axis of rotation isn't right. See how you're flat based at this point? At this point, you should be going an angled, what way? Angled up, so you're already sunk up with the landing, but because you're flat base, it's making it so you're rotating, and as you're rotating over your front foot. See how your front foot's hitting first? And that's sort of the whole issue. What's happening here is your rotation axis is set over that front foot and you're rotating around it, and that's throwing off your axis of rotation. That's making it really hard to land and control the spin and carry your momentum. So, knowing that's the issue, how do we get you to fix that? I think the problem right now is see how you're throwing down, but then you're going and lifting your upper body up and around. You're sort of pulling out of your axis of rotation. So here's what I think is happening. Because you're going and getting on your edge too soon, it's causing you to go and get slightly leaned forward. See how you're angled and you're very toe heavy and your knees are still bent in this position? This is making it so your throw is very down, off kiltered on this way, and this would put you up. So if you put power into it, it would make it so you corked a lot. You would get very corky. So what you're doing to counter this is two things. One, you're making sure to snap super light. Too light for a 540, not getting enough power. And the second thing you're doing is you're trying to use counter rotation here. So activating your core and trying to pull your upper body through and see how you're going and correcting your axis to flat. So you're going and setting yourself on a rotation, then fighting the rotation, and because you went and fought for rotation, now you're needing to try speed up the spin by putting over your front foot. Uh, and it's just throwing your whole thing off. So this is one of the rare cases where I'm not going to be able to give you like, hey, okay, do this and this and this and it'll work. It's going to take, oh no, I just exited all my YouTube tabs. It's going to take a little bit more work than that and a little bit playing around. But I can give you, so here, notice how as I throw, the only difference is I'm not going and pulling my upper body to flat. Instead, I'm keeping my whole weight over top of that back foot and continue the rotation over top of it. So instead of trying to go and fight my axis of rotation by set off the lip, I'm going with it. Back fives are a very flexible rotation for getting off axis, but they're really unflexible one for spinning flat because you need to land on that angled position. So a slight bit of dip, a slight bit of going with it will make you really more comfortable. If you can get access to a trampoline and practice doing some back fives, practice dipping them and getting really comfortable on all axis of rotation, that would really help. But the main thing we're going to pay attention to here is just look at my head. So I'm looking away sooner than you are, but my head isn't tucking towards the shoulder. Instead, it's in the center of my body. And that's making it so as I go and throw the trick, I'm going and instead of trying to go and take my body and look around, lead in rotation, instead I'm being patient, pulling with my back arm into that spin, then I'm spotting the knuckle, and then I'm going and tightening up and trying to keep a rotation on that point. So instead, oh, I'm sorry, I exited all your tabs. Uh, so the big difference is okay, general gist is the way you're throwing your spin right now is too downward because you're coming in too angled, and that's making it so in order to get more comfortable because the jump's small, you don't really want to be going off of axis, and you don't feel comfortable going off axis, you're going and throwing down, and then immediately try and turn yourself with stopping your rotation, and then it's also setting you to a flat base, and then that's trying to make you rotate over that foot, throwing you off. So I'm not too sure the best way to fix this outside of just think of your head, think of trying to stay in a taller posture so that when you go and set your axis, you're setting yourself on an axis you can continue through the whole spin instead of setting an axis that you're trying to pull out of right away. It's not going to be easy, but some time on a trampoline would really help. And yeah, just a little taller, lets you set a bit of a different axis because your main issue right now is definitely that you're going and setting on one axis and then pulling out of that axis, and that's throwing your whole shit out of whack. So, great takeoff. Everything's looking good there. If you can figure that out, it's going to be a killer back five. That's going to be really fun for you to pull off.